Hi, I'm Carolia Grant from the Yoga Lunchbox, and I'm really excited today. I'm here with Nianna Bray, who is an international yoga teacher. She's from LA, but she teaches all around the world, and she is currently in Amsterdam, so that's where she's coming to us from. Now, I'm talking to Nianna because she is going to be leading a teacher training down in Queenstown with Nadi Wellness, working with Sandi Murphy, and she will also be at Wanderlust, so it seemed like an ideal opportunity to have a chat. So, welcome, Nianna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and talking with me tonight.
Yeah,
or my night.
Yeah, it's your night and my morning. So let's go right back to the beginning, because I'm sure some New Zealanders don't know too much about you because you're from the States, and I know you've been to New Zealand before. We'll get to that. So how did you find yoga, or did yoga find you?
I think yoga finds you. I definitely feel that yoga, it found me. But it was always around me on some way. My grandmother was an interesting kind of eclectic, I guess you could use the word hippie. She was definitely at Woodstock, and she was part of that kind of free love community at the time in the 60s. And she was very much interested in Paramahansa Yogananda and the Hare Krishnas, and she was following Swami Ananda. So she was just like following all these Indian teachers. So I think that my grandfather's been meditating for maybe 30 years, since before I was born. So then my mom also, I would see her doing different movements and breathing and cat-cow, and I remember thinking, that is so weird, what are they doing, when I was a little girl. So yeah. I think it was kind of like always around. But then yoga really found me, I suppose, as an adult when I was 18. And I kind of was a dancer in school for dance, and next to me was a yoga studio. Next to the dance school was a yoga studio, and I went in for a class, and I think the very first class I just fell in love. I was just so impressed that you could have one kind of experience that includes physical, emotional, mental. You had to have your mind involved, and also spiritual. And my first Shavasana, I just fell in love. So.
That's awesome. So you really did have an early introduction with your parents or your grandparents being so involved. So at 18, you start practicing yoga. When did the idea of teaching first arise?
Well, that's the funny thing for me, actually. It took a long time. I didn't start teaching yoga until 9 years after I was practicing. For me, yoga was my savior. It saved my life. I was a very, angry person, very emotional, and kind of a little bit, not so happy when I was younger. And yoga just, it was my saving grace. It was a place that I could go and get myself straight and, calm myself and, get those boys off my mind, or get the life off my mind, And so it took me a while to finally say, okay, hey, I want to share this. Hey, I have a lot to offer. I think I was very insecure as well when I was younger and didn't really have a sense of self-worth, to be honest. So when yoga finally kind of, my teacher, actually one of my teachers said, hey, you know a lot about yoga. I think you'd be really good at teaching yoga. And I thought, oh, okay. So it was kind of pulled out of me. I'm grateful for that, because it's, changed my life ever since. And teaching is just another level of being a student.
Because you have studied with a lot of amazing teachers, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can't pick out who your favorites are, but are there any in particular that you'd like to reference or mention for,
Oh, for sure. No, I've had amazing teachers, and that's, I think, one of the benefits of being born and raised in Los Angeles. As I had access. I was teaching at Exhale. Well, I was practicing at Exhale Center for Sacred Movement in Venice, which is kind of America's one of the premier yoga studios. And a lot of the most amazing teachers were teaching through there. Some that I think were more well known is definitely Shiva Rea. So she's had a huge influence on me and my life, and just as a mentor and a teacher and a friend. I've been with her for many years, since probably 2005. Other ones like Eric Schiffmann. I don't know if you know who Eric Schiffmann is, but he's just a classic. I did my first teacher training with him many years ago, and that was life-changing. Denise Kaufman is my teacher from the Yin Yoga community, so I'll be teaching a Yin Yoga workshop at Wanderlust. And then, of course, Mark Whitwell. He's a Kiwi. And I actually got to spend my first time going to New Zealand was to study with him and doing a really intensive student-teacher program with him. So, and that's just to name a few. And I studied in India, and it goes on and on. But I'm very grateful for my teachers, really. They like the path.
So when did you start teaching teachers then? Because this is what you're coming down to Queenstown to do next February. Yeah. So with Sandi Murphy at Nadi Wellness, you're going to be leading a 200-hour, 3-week intensive training. Is this the first one? Have you been teaching teachers for a while?
Well, this is the first actual, my first full 200-hour teacher training. And that's why I'm so excited about it, because it's really, I can now give really from my own wealth of knowledge and experience after all these years. I've been assisting Shiva's teacher trainings for probably a long time, maybe 6 years, assisting her and also mentoring and teaching within those teaching labs. And I've also been teaching workshops, modules and teacher trainings for Micheline Berry, different studios in New York. So this is exciting to offer. I do little modules here and there. In Holland, I'm doing a sequencing training. But it's so exciting to have this opportunity with Sandi, because she didn't have a teacher training for her studio. She's been in the business, she's been teaching yoga for a long time in Queenstown and has a studio. I think maybe 9 years she's had that studio. And so when we were talking about it, I was like, hey, you should definitely have a training for your studio. And she was like, would you do this with me? And I said, okay, let's do it. So we're both very excited our intention is to have one of the best trainings in the region. I know it can be, and I know it's just going to grow and build from here. So.
Well, I had a look through the poster, which basically goes over some of the content, and I'm going to, I made a little list, and this is not everything, but some of the things you're going to cover in the 3 weeks: chakras, Sanskrit, anatomy, asana, pranayama, mudras, bandhas, history and philosophy, principles of vinyasa and sequencing, unlocking your voice, observing and reading bodies and breath, yoga krama, business and ethics, prana vayu. I mean, we are talking wide, broad, deep. That's comprehensive.
It is comprehensive, and it is, to be honest, it is an introductory. So when you talk about 200 hours and someone has been practicing, we expect whoever's going to be joining us to have been at least practicing for at least a year. I mean, that's kind of the bare minimum at this point, I think, in the whole kind of teacher training communities. But definitely 1 year at least practicing yoga, hopefully longer. And so when they come and they get those 200 hours, it will be an introduction to, introduction to yin, introduction to a lot of these things. We're going to go in depth to the things that are obviously going to be important for teachers to be exceptional in teaching. But we want to paint a larger picture of the context of where yoga is coming from. Yoga is not only asana. Asana is a huge part of the yoga that we're doing right now in the West. And it's a wonderful, beautiful part, but there's a larger context, and I want to be able to give a larger, broader view so that people can take these 200 hours and say, okay, where do I want to focus after this training is over? What calls me as a teacher? How do I find my authentic voice, and what inspires me as a teacher, and what is that? And I want to be able to help students, discover that for themselves.
So talking about that wider context of yoga, you're a tantric yogini. For those who don't know what that means, can you describe it?
The thing about Tantra is it's been always kind of mysterious in that it's not a dogma. It's not a philosophy necessarily. It's not even really beliefs required. It's a direct path. And so what does that mean? It's our ability to, in this moment, be fully engaged in this life experience, to feel the heat of my hair and my skin, to enjoy a glass of water, just to be with the miracle that is life without all of the heavy kind of philosophical meanderings that we can put on it, or the intense self-flagellation that we can do. That we're always looking for something outside. And Tantra is saying that, you are already, Tantra says what you seek is, you already what you seek. So it's a way to come back to the Atma, the true self. So it's a view, it's a point of view, it's a way of seeing the world, it's a way of engaging in the world, and also it's a way that says, hey, you know, we're humans. We don't need to take a fully materialistic view of life, nor do we need to take a only spiritual view of life. How do we merge the spiritual with the physical here on planet Earth in these bodies for this time that we have, and enjoy each other and see God in one another? So.
And is this the philosophical context or base for this particular teacher training?
I think I can't deny that. You know, that's the fact. Is I am a tantric yogini, so I will be sharing from those points of views, definitely. And then the basis really is vinyasa. So the vinyasa from Krishnamacharya. So if you know Krishnamacharya he's the teacher of the teachers. He's the master of the masters. And his point of view was always to say that yoga, the way we teach yoga is not so much, well, his perspective was that each individual has their own yoga. And, you know, depending on their age, their body, their, you know, spiritual inclinations, whether they're Muslim or Jew or Christian. However, you know, any person, any body can find a yoga that is really suited for them. And so I really take that to heart, you know, and so it'll come from that vinyasa, the breath, the movement, the awareness, the body, and then intelligently sequencing and intelligent creating classes and experiences, whether private sessions or group classes or even workshops or festivals or whatever they want to take their teaching, that they can, in the moment, you know, assess and use all the wisdom and knowledge of yoga to, you know, to help people on their path toward liberation. That's what we're here to do. Yoga is a science of self-realization.
So I guess that's why one of the things you're looking at are the krama, or the stages, so that when you're teaching postures, you understand where to teach different people. So you can be teaching a whole range of people in the room, and one posture that has, you know, 4 or 5 different kramas, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the challenge that a lot of teachers are facing, and that I think yoga itself is facing. For a long time, yoga was taught, you know, one-on-one. Really often, you know, for a very long time, it was one teacher, one guru, you know, one disciple, one master. And now, you know, you're getting these environments like, you know, like the Wanderlust, where one teacher's up there teaching to, you know, 200, 300, 100,000, you know. Some teachers are teaching to huge groups. And, you know, so on some level, we've kind of lost the potency of that one-to-one. But what we have to learn as teachers to be effective in the modern world is to, how do we teach to a larger audience without losing people? And we would do that through kramas, through giving people, you know, advanced opportunities, and being able to read a student. Who wants to go deeper? Who wants to go further? Who wants to go more? Who's struggling? Who needs to back off and be held in that regal state of enough is enough? And to be confident with where each person is, and help them to feel confident and also challenged, but also accomplished, which is it's a fine dance. That comes with experience, but I think it also comes with learning from experienced teachers, and that's what I feel like I can offer the students who want to do this teacher training, is that you know, I have a lot of experience and I've worked with a lot of amazing teachers, and so it's just this tradition of giving back now, so that keep this lineage alive of well-educated, thoughtful, and articulate teachers.
So for those who don't necessarily understand the Krishnamacharya lineage, so Mark Whitwell is of that lineage, and Shiva Rea is of that lineage. So I'm guessing a few of your different... Eric Schiffmann, is he...
Yes.
Yes. So all of those different teachers that you've studied with, if you trace them back, you know, it's like this tree going back to the roots, isn't it, or to the trunk?
Yeah.
So as a teacher of teachers then now, what do you feel is your responsibility to your teacher trainees and to the wider yoga community?
Yeah, no, it's a big responsibility. I think that's probably why I've taken so long to, you know, to start teaching yoga and to now start teacher trainings. You know, some people do 1 year of yoga and then they jump in and they start teaching. And I actually know some of my contemporaries, my colleagues, you know, they did a couple of years of yoga and they started doing teacher trainings right away. Some people have that kind of gusto and confidence. For me, it is a huge responsibility that I take really seriously. And so it's been a process of me refining my voice and the process of getting the experience and the understanding and going around the world and teaching yoga to distill what is essential. What is yoga? You know, and what are we doing? And so I feel like what I can give to those who are wanting to become teachers themselves is a dose of, I would hope, reality. You know, don't quit your day job. But learn and become and embody embody the wisdom that you want to share. Embody the asanas, the practice from a place of really desiring to know what is yoga for oneself, and then everything that you teach comes from that place. And so it's always going to be pulling us back to present, pulling us back to this reality, pulling us back to, what's my work right now. And these teacher trainings are transformational,
Yeah, 3 weeks, and it'll be intensive. Now, you've deliberately limited the number of students to 20, right?
Yeah.
So why did you because you probably could have had 30 or 40 on the training. Why did you decide to keep it at 20?
Well, this is our first one, so it's nice to, keep it at a dull roar. We do want to have the first one be absolutely amazing. And when you have a smaller group, you can go in deeper and you can keep an eye on each individual. And I think even as it grows forward, the next few years, I definitely like to keep it, smaller and intimate so that you can keep an eye on each person's progress. When you have large groups, it's obvious you can hide.
Yeah.
I've seen it, I've assisted huge teacher trainings and it's easy to hide. When it's a smaller group, there's nowhere to hide. I will find you. I will see you. You can't escape. So if you're really interested in learning, this is going to be an amazing training.
It is such a treat to go to a teacher training and only be one of 20. Because you do get that, you do get that one-on-one, and it is a much smaller environment to learn in. I think you're right that the learning can go a lot deeper. All right, now before we wrap up, I want to have a little chat about Wanderlust, because this is super exciting for New Zealand. 4-day festival, yoga, music, mindfulness, and amazing international teachers coming like yourself. You've taught Wanderlust before, or is this your first Wanderlust?
My first one as well.
Oh,
my
awesome.
Wanderlust as well, which is very exciting, yeah. So I was in New Zealand last year. I was helping to launch Araha, the Wellness Retreat Center in Glenorchy. And that's where my friend Damien, who's the owner there, he said, hey, talk to Jackie and the people who are doing Wanderlust, and you should definitely get on the roster. So that's how I got invited, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just know Wanderlust is amazing, and it's a huge kind of cultural experience that's happening, and I know that the workshops I'm going to be offering is going to be different things, like I'm doing a women's work, so for women embodying their wild feminine.
So that's what I was going to ask you about, power and pleasure for women, embodying the wild feminine. What is that about?
Well, that's a big part of the work that I do, actually. The teaching that I do is around women's empowerment and sensual empowerment, and that's how Sandi actually found me. I did a women's workshop at her studio, and it just touches women completely. We need a safe space for women that we can be together and open up into our sensual power and to really tap into that in a way that feels non-threatening, in a way that feels very natural. And so I'll be sharing that work. And I've been doing this particular training, workshop throughout London, Paris, US, so different places. So it'll be fun to see how culturally we're all women, and culturally we all have this Shakti, this power within us. And so my favorite thing is to bring that out in each woman and to just watch her empower and grow and shine.
It sounds like playing with a whole bunch of goddesses,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Nianna, thank you so much for talking to us. I'm so excited that you're coming to both Wanderlust and also to deliver this teacher training in Queenstown. Now, that's February, right? So a few months away, people still have time to sign up and put their name down, and it's going to be 3 weeks of intensive with you and Sandi Murphy. So thank you so much, Nianna.
Thank you so much for chatting with me, and I hope to see you soon in person, and I hope to see all of our viewers at Wanderlust or in the training.